The Maamar that we are going to learn this morning um, was this Maamar was said by the Rebbe in 1988 on the 7th of Kislev, and it's based on a verse in the Torah portion. It says, Lavan woke up in the morning, and Lavan kissed his sons and daughters. Then it says Lavan went back to his place, and Yaakov went on his journey. So the Rebbe is going to explain the spiritual meaning of this and how this spiritual meaning is connected to the simple meaning of the verse. On the surface, Lavan is a terrible guy, a swindler, and the spiritual source of Lavan is actually the highest revelation of godliness. And Lavan, getting up in the morning, as we'll see, is how Hashem empowers us every morning to serve Him, empowers us every morning to connect with Him. And we're going to see how these two ideas are connected. That Hashem empowers us not just to serve Him, to daven, to elevate the physical, but to even engage with the lie of the world, the swindler, the lie of the world, and to transform it to good. Let's go right to this. Lavan woke up in the morning and he kissed his sons and daughters, and he went, and Lavan returned home, and Yaakov went on his journey. So the author explains in Torah Or, in the Hasidic Parsha of the week, and Torah's Chaim, of the Mittler Rebbe. At the end of this week's Torah portion, the Mittler Rebbe says the Torah talks about the spiritual and only alludes to the physical. Although in our experience, when we learn the Torah, we think the first meaning of the Torah is physical. The Torah also alludes to spiritual things. However, the Shalah says the opposite. The real subject matter of the Torah is spiritual, and the physical counterpart is merely something the Torah is hinting to. But the actual subject matter is in the higher worlds. So the author explains what's the meaning of love and waking up in the morning. This refers to the supernal whiteness. This refers to a lofty revelation of godliness. So this even can refer in its highest applications, highest interpretation, the supernal whiteness refers to the essence of Hashem. And the idea of love and kissing his sons and daughters refers to a unique divine flow to the various levels of the entire spiritual cosmos. That's the meaning of sons and daughters. Sons refer to those who are male, meaning that they are influencers. They give off, that they inspire, that they give to the levels beneath it. And daughters refer to the female, those who are receiving. The entire spiritual cosmos is divided in mashpi and makabel. And those who are giving, those who are receiving. Every level really receives from the level above it, then it gives off to the level beneath it. So Lavan, there's a revelation of godliness, revelation of God's essence, and Lavan kisses his sons and daughters. That means that there's a unique gift of divine revelation from this lofty place, and it's called a kiss. This kiss indicates this devotion, a really a unique kind of divine flow. This happens every morning, because every single morning when we begin to daven, or in order to begin to daven, Hashem gives us from the supernal whiteness, Hashem gives us this unique empowerment from his very essence, and he kisses his sons and daughters. Because since the Torah says Hashem desires the work of your hands, Hashem wants us to do something, therefore Hashem wants us to serve him with even though it would seem that our deeds don't really add anything to him, yet the Torah says Hashem desires the work of our hands. So Hashem wants us to do something that mirrors what he's giving us every morning. He's giving us something to accomplish something. And that's the meaning of davening every day. As the Torah says that Avram woke up in the morning and he saddled his donkey. The idea of saddling his donkey means davening. The idea of the donkey is connected to the word chomer, which means the material, that through davening there is the divine revelation of the supernal whiteness of the essence of Hashem. And this empowers us to war with, to fight with, and to transform the materiality of the body. So there is love in getting up in the morning. There is a revelation of godliness every morning that allows us to saddle the donkey to overcome and to transform the material. That's what happens every morning. But then what happens next? It's Monday morning. What is Zev Kessler thinking? What happens next? Says the Rebbe that then Lavan goes back home. Lavan goes back to his place, and Yaakov goes on his journey. The inspiration goes away. And that's the meaning of Lavan going back home, that this divine revelation is it ascends and it's absorbed again within Hashem's essence. It's no longer revealed. And Yaakov goes on his journey. Yaakov goes to do Torah and mitzvahs. Yaakov goes on his journey. He has the Torah is called a journey, and Yaakov, after he loses, after this inspiration goes away, then that's a time when the service of Hashem begins. We could add to this, and it's not just that's when the service of Hashem begins chronologically, but that's when you're supposed to serve Hashem after this divine revelation ceases. And we could say even more, it's not just that it has to be this way, that A has to come before B, but more that A causes B. And specifically after the divine revelation, that's when it's possible for there to be the service of Hashem from our side. Why? Because in order for there to be the service of man, in order for there to be our work, our efforts, there has to be a man, there has to be a world. For example, in the study of Torah, especially in the oral Torah, you have to understand the oral Torah. That's the mitzvah of learning Torah, is to understand it. You have to understand it in a way that even your animal soul's mind understands it. First, your godly soul understands, and then your godly soul conveys it to your animal soul. And the way you understand it is as it says in Tanya, that it becomes one with you in a wondrous unity. There's no unity like it. So in order for you to learn Torah, you have to first be a person with a mind, with an animal soul. Only then can you learn Torah. And similarly, in order to elevate, in order to refine the physicality of the world, or even higher, to elevate the physicality of the world. First, there is refining, meaning that you decide to take something physical and to use it for something spiritual. You eat to serve Hashem, and then this physical item is now absorbed in holiness. That physical item was you first refine it, you separate the divine spark, you use it for its purpose, and now that's a refinement. Then there's zichuch, there's elevation, and the physicality becomes absorbed in holiness. There's refinement, then there's a higher level, not just refinement, but there's elevation, the physical substance itself, and so in order to do all these things, in order to refine, purify, elevate the physicality of the world, there has to be a person, there has to be a world. And when the divine revelation is there, it's impossible that man's service can be complete. Because when you're in front of the king, make the slightest movement, it says you deserve the death penalty. So you can't begin to serve Hashem when there's a divine revelation. And therefore it says that Lavan goes back to his place and Yaakov goes on his journey, that only when this divine revelation stops and goes back to its source, that's when the Jewish people can do their service of Hashem in a perfect way. And that's the reason why Hashem takes the revelation back. The reason why the revelation stops is because it's for the sake of the service of Hashem. Because Hashem wants us to serve Him, therefore He takes it away. Because in order for a Jew to serve Hashem perfectly, he has to first be a person. He has to be himself. When the divine revelation is there fully, he's not. If you move in front of the king, you deserve death penalty. So in order for there to be a person, a world, and the service of Hashem, the divine revelation called Lavan, the supernal whiteness, has to go away. And that's what the Torah says, that yes, Hashem gives us every morning this revelation, and afterwards it goes away in order that the service of a person should be complete. Okay. I know Zev's not wondering where it went. Zev is wondering when did it start. L'chaim. So, but this is a reality, Zev. Every day the Eibusher gives you this. So, we said before, the Torah talks about the spiritual and hence the physical. So it's understood that this whole thing we just discussed about the supernal whiteness and how this empowers Yaakov to serve Hashem and how it empowers each of us to serve Hashem is also relevant to the story of Yaakov in Lavan's house, with Yaakov tending to the sheep of Lavan. The Torah says that there were three kinds of sheep. There was akudim, nukudim, uvrudim. There were speckled sheep, spotted sheep, And these three kinds of sheep are parallel to three kinds of divine revelation. The word akudim refers to how the 10 spheres in the realm of Keser are all in one vessel. When the 10 spheres are in Keser, so there aren't really 10 separate spheres. They're all in one vessel, meaning there is no real distinction to one sphere and another. There is the potential for there to be 10 separate spheres, but as they are in Keser, they're all one. Then there is the Kudim. That's the world of chaos, where they're just a point. As we were learning last week, in the world of chaos, things are one dimensional, and each sphere um, can't relate to other spheres. It's either my way or not, or it can't be any other way. That's the of points. And each sphere is its own thing, and it can't be a full parts of it can't be a full sphere which incorporates all the other spheres into it, because it's there's an intensity there of each sphere being its own thing. And there's Brudim. The Brudim refers to the world of Atzilus, where there is, I think the English word is blotched, where each sphere is already now able to connect with other spheres, not just not just spotted, not just speckled, but there is a whole uh, area of on the sheep which is parallel to each sphere being a full sphere, each sphere contained within all other spheres. That's the way things are in the spiritual cosmos when things are in the normal order. And just like this was in Lavan's sheep in simple sense, that this was the agreement that Lavan had with Yaakov, that Yaakov would take care of these sheep, the spotted and speckled sheep. But then Yaakov did a change and he transformed things as it was in the simple meaning of the verses that Yaakov took over. And he Yaakov didn't just have the sheep that he got from Lavan, but from those sheep he produced many other sheep, and he caused all the sheep to be born to be those exact colors. There's various interpretations of what exactly Yaakov did, but just like Yaakov made a different arrangement than what was at first seen, so too spiritually the Jewish people, through their service of Hashem, they go to a higher level. They cause a change in the entire spiritual cosmos. This is also the inner meaning of the verse. Yaakov complained to Lavan that he didn't complain, he told his wives that your father switched the deal on me 10 times. At first we had an agreement in one way, and he switched on it. That means spiritually is that there is a divine revelation as it is normal order of the spiritual cosmos, but then there's the idea of it being switched, that things are going beyond the regular order and the regular limitations of the spiritual cosmos of the spotted, speckled, and blotched sheep. That means things aren't going in the regular order. There is a regular order, but then there is the impact of a Jew, that a Jew causes it to be a change. This comes down in, it says that Lavan changed the deal 10 times, and the Rashi interprets it's 10 times 10. That means he changed it 100 times, which 100 is called in Kabbalah a complete number, as in the discourses discussing the number 100 explain that 100 is completion. What this means simply is that the Jewish people, through their service of Hashem, not only do they draw down into the physical world. In other words, ordinarily these high divine revelations have their place. There's Keser, there's Atzilus, there's the world of chaos. But the Jewish people, they're able to achieve, to bring down to the world, not just from Atzilus, but also from Tayu, not just from Tayu, but also from higher than that, from Akudim, and even higher from the Lavan Elyon, from the supernal wideness, until they're able to bring down from the essence of Hashem Mamish. And they can bring this down in the physical world. Okay, getting back to the physical world. So what about this guy, Lavan, the swindler? So Alter Rebbe says, he adds in parentheses, which seems to be completely off topic, the Alter Rebbe adds in the parentheses, by the way, Lavan actually cheated Yaakov in the simple sense. So Rebbe asks, Rebbe says, what's the meaning of the Alter Rebbe adding this? What is Alter Rebbe adding by saying, and in the simple sense, Lavan cheated Yaakov? What is he adding? What the Alter Rebbe is adding is this. The simple meaning is that the simple meaning what the Alter Rebbe is saying is one thing, and then we'll see a deeper meaning. Simple meaning is the Alter Rebbe is saying, I want to tell you that all of the things I said to you about Lavan before, that's only Lavan in heaven. However, the way Lavan descends from his divine source, he actually cheated Yaakov, and he switched the deal 100 times. But the Rebbe says we could say a deeper meaning of the Alter Rebbe. What's the meaning of the Alter Rebbe adding the words that Lavan cheated Yaakov in the simple sense? the author was trying to tell us that a Jew is able to affect a Lavan in this physical world. That a Jew, through his service of Hashem, can also elevate the darkness and the bitterness of this world and to transform the darkness to light and the bitterness to sweetness. This is achieved through teshuvah. As explained in many places in Chassidus, that Mashiach will cause the righteousness of the truth. The virtue of the Bali Tshuva is that they affect the darkness in the world. And that's why in the beginning of this week's Torah portion, Yaakov says, I'll come back in peace to my father's house. He says, I'll come back in peace. But the Hebrew word bishalom is two kinds of peace. There is the peace of the, as the verse says, peace to those who are far and those who are near. And the Talmud explains, to those who were once far and now they are near. And the Torah first extends peace to those who are far before it extends peace to those who are near. Because those who were once far, they are on a higher level. So this is the achievement of Yaakov, of a Jew in general, that not only is able to bring down these divine revelations, but is able to actually affect the darkness and the bitterness of this world. That's the Alter Bad. And by the way, in the simple sense, Lavan was a swindler. He wasn't just telling us that the divine source of Lavan is different to the way Lavan is in this world. He's also telling us that that our service of Hashem, our tshuva, affects the love and affects the bitterness. So this divine revelation of love, Lavan Elyon, this supernal whiteness, this divine revelation becomes one with us in a wondrous way. And not only does it become one with us in a wondrous way, but the idea of unity means that there's two separate things, and they're becoming one. But really, what happens is not there's this divine revelation that becomes one with us, but rather the physical creation and the true reality, the Yashan Nivra, the Yashamiti, the physical creation, the actual creation, and the true reality Hashem become one. And this happens with the whole tumult. And then there adds, it happens even more than a tumult. In other words, we say in our prayer, it says in the Talmud that when you begin to pray to Hashem, there is praying to Hashem with a tumult. That's like Baruch Shamar and Yishtabach and Shema. And it says that Talmud gives an example of this blind man, and he was with another person, and they're waiting for the king. And the blind man says, I'm going to know when the king comes before anybody else. And then there's all the drums, and everyone says the king's coming. And the blind man's like, no, the king's not coming. And then there's a greater sound, and the blind man says he's not coming. Then finally it's silent. The blind man says, now the king is coming. So in a similar way, in davening, there's times of davening which are more tumultuous, where there's more of a storm of love and reverence for Hashem. But when does Hashem come, so to speak? When does there full revelation going? This when you're at Shemona Esrei, when you're silent. That's when the king comes. The Rebbe says here that when we're saying that Hashem and the created reality becomes one, it's with a storm. And then the Rebbe says, but it's even higher than a storm. As the Torah says, God doesn't come with a storm. It's even higher than the soft voice. The soft voice, in the simple sense, is a revelation to a prophet, through the prophet seeing, the prophet hearing. But here we're saying that the created reality and the true reality become one. It means the created reality becomes a true reality. It's above the parameters of the higher level, and above the parameters of the supernal whiteness, above the parameters of something being higher, because there is nothing besides him, and even more, there's nothing else. Ein oid ein mulvade. Ein oid means there's nothing besides him, but with him there's something. And ein oid means all there is there is nothing else. As it says elsewhere in Chassidus, the different kinds of revelations. So what we're going is we're saying that the physical reality becomes one, the true reality, in a way that you can't even say they become one, because that indicates that they're uniting. But rather, it's there is nothing else. There's revelation. There's nothing besides Hashem in the physical reality, and this is achieved in the entire world, especially by the Jewish people. That by the Jewish people, their unity with the true reality is higher. The unity of a Jew with the true reality is higher, as is known in the teaching of the Baal Shem Tov, than the simplicity of a simple Jew. The simplicity of Hashem's essence rests in the simplicity of every Jew. The simplicity of Hashem's essence is manifest in the simplicity of every Jew. As there's no explanation of the previous Rebbe on the verse, you are standing together before Hashem. And this unity is perfect. Not only is it in a way of echad, but it's even higher than yachid. And this is like the idea of hakel, where there's a gathering of men, women, and children all come together in reverence for Hashem. And this all happens in this physical world. because even Mashiach will come. There'll be souls and bodies without any interruption, and the soul can be nourished from the body because of the greatness of the body and because of the greatness of action. Because action is the main thing, because everything was created for the sake of the body and for the sake of action. And the main thing is that this should all happen lamatam saratach, this should happen in this physical world, in the true redemption, with all meaning, with all explanations of it. So, in short, what we learned today is that every day Hashem empowers us and reveals Himself to us, and the purpose of that is for us to serve Hashem, and that service of Hashem that we do affects the world, and not just it affects the world in a way that there's revelation of godliness in the world, but it reveals how the world itself is godly. Until there's a revelation in the physical world, the coming Mashiach, where we could see how the world itself is has nothing besides Hashem. Chaim, any questions or comments? You got it. Remember the mice of the goat, Reb Zev? Remember the story of the goat?
You call me the goat?
What?
What
He's
kind
not
of goat?
my goat. Okay, thanks, have a great day.
Moshe, we're all originals on this phone back in the day, remember? Upstairs?
Oh, yeah. When
Remember that?
Chaim.